It's time for some wellness conversation. We have with us Oby Olamma Nnadi. She's the founding CEO and team lead of Thrive Network, a registered mental health NGO whose journey into the field of mental health advocacy began in 2018. She's been inspired by her personal battle with postpartum depression. Her search for answers led her to uncover critical insights about postpartum depression and its profound impact on mental health. Today, we discuss a very interesting conversation. I don't want to lose my job nor my mind, prioritizing mental health in the workplace. How are you doing? Good morning.
Hi, ma'am. I'm feeling upbeat.
You're feeling
Thank you.
energetic.
Energetic.
Oh,
Energized.
love the
Good
energy.
To go.
Good to go. Right, let's dive right into it. So,
Yeah.
for the whole of this month, we've been, dealing on mental health,
Yeah.
focusing on mental health as a career person, as a mother, as a human being, generally, and now we're reading in on the workplace.
Yeah.
Now, this is a conversation a lot of us are not having because there are different roles that, everything that revolves around us plays in terms of our mental health, when it comes to our mental health. And the workplace is one of it because that's where we spend so much of our time. Now, what is the role of the workplace in improving our mental health?
Thank you, ma'am. First off, like you said, the workplace is not just where we spend a lot of our time. It's where we earn our daily bread. So it is a very important part of our lives.
Yes.
And our mental health is a state of mental well-being that determines how we think, feel, and act. In fact, this conversation is so important that last year, October, when we were celebrating World Mental Health Day, the theme was prioritizing mental health in the workplace. Now, when we say how can we have good mental health in the workplace? The first thing to know is prioritizing mental health in the workplace means you're advocating for a workplace where people feel empowered enough to talk about their mental well-being, their mental health. Remember, there's a lot of stigma attached to the concept of mental health all over the world, not just in our society, but it's massive in our society because awareness is relatively new and all of that. So what I often say to people, in fact, let me share a story. I remember many years ago when I was working with this agency, I had a boss who was a living nightmare. Like, he would bully you, verbally abuse you, and still expect you to perform because, there were targets and all of that. So there was this day I was going to work. There was a lot of flooding. My car, water got into my engine and I had to park my car so I took a bike because I wanted to get to the bus stop real quick. And in the process, I fell.
Whoa.
The bike man threw me
into the gutter.
Absolutely. So I came out and ideally, what was I supposed to do? Go back home,
and go back and
right?
change.
Or even call in and say, look, my entire day is messed up.
Yeah.
Because already that already impacted my state of mind. But because of the type of boss I had, who I knew would not believe me, I had to go to work in that state. So what do you think, what state of mind, what do you think the state of my mental health would be under that circumstance? Right. When you have a boss like that, how do you prioritize mental health? Because if that's a boss who understands the importance of good mental health, the working relationship and the work environment will be healthy and, safe for workers. So what we say, or what I normally say when we talk about prioritizing mental health in the workplace is leaders must be aware, must be informed. Is important. People who are playing leadership roles in the workplace.
Because they have a very critical role to play.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, something as seemingly, let me not even say as, something seemingly insignificant, like your chair is giving you waist pain, your chair in the office, or back pain rather, and you've been complaining to maintenance.
Or the admin.
Or the admin, hey, I need you guys to change this chair, replace this chair. And for some reason, that's not happening. So guess what happens? What then tends to happen? You leave work, you're upset because the backache has started. You probably sit in traffic, there's road rage. And then you get home, you need to juggle more motherhood and all of that. You're not even getting enough sleep. Then you wake up the next morning, like my son will say, your stomach starts to shake. That's you have anxiety. When you remember that you're going into work and you're going to sit on that chair. So you see, your mind begins to fall ill. And this is how close mental illnesses are to us, or mental health disorders.
And over time, it begins to affect your productivity.
Absolutely. It begins to affect productivity. It begins to affect your relationship or impact your relationship with your colleagues and your state of mind and all of that. So you see why prioritizing mental health in the workplace is so important, so important.
It's interesting that you would use that as an example because from personal experience, for someone who has actually suffered grief, there's also the role of the workplace in ensuring that, you know, even after, because I mean with grief, when you lose a loved one, you never fully recover from it. I mean, the healing is a continuous process, right? And, you know, there are times where even conversations with your colleagues could trigger, you could feel triggered by it. And so now, in creating that awareness, we've established from the leadership angle. Now let's talk about our colleagues because they also have a role to play.
Definitely.
Most of us just come to the office. Hi, good morning. How are you doing? Oh, you brought food today. Your food looks good. Oh, you look nice. Oh, I love your shoe. Oh, your watch. But you are suffering inside.
Exactly.
Right. So how do we pay more attention to, you know, our colleagues and, you know, because we are also, you know, also going through our own as well.
Definitely, definitely. You know, one thing that I do when I give talks, when I go to give talks on mental health, especially in establishments and organizations, I say to them, the first thing we should do to prioritize mental health in the workplace is to create a community of supportive people. And how do you do this? There must be awareness. You can't give what you don't have. So you must understand that if Oby walks into the office with a wide smile on her face, it doesn't necessarily represent her state of mind at the time, right? And so we must be as supportive as possible. How else can we be supportive? There's another thing that I say. I say to heads of establishments and people who are in a position of influence in the workplace, hybrid jobs, try as much as possible to make these jobs flexible for your staff. You know, if there are jobs where some days you can work remotely, there are days you can come in and work, it's fine. Another thing I say is leadership by example. You can see that the onus lies more on the leaders.
Leadership.
Exactly, on the leadership. Leadership by example. I was giving a talk one day to some members of executive, and their overall boss stood up and said to them, look, I've suffered a mental health problem before. And you could see from the look on the faces of his subordinates,
they were shocked.
Wow, you mean our own boss actually suffered, you know, depression and all of that. So leadership by example. Leaders must make their subordinates or their colleagues understand that, look, I'm not superhuman, neither are you. And the mind can fall ill. If your boss in the office is down with malaria, will you consider him weak? Will you say, oh, he's weak because he has malaria? Of course you won't say that.
No.
There'll be a lot of empathy. There'll be a lot of understanding. There'll be a lot of support. So even if you're going to see him, you'll likely take a basket of fruits and all of that. But if I say to you, I'm depressed, or I have anxiety, you probably wouldn't even, you know, react the same way. So there must be that community of support. And then again, of course, most importantly, there must be in-house mental health professionals. Well, one of the challenges I have encountered on the job with in-house professionals is that people are still afraid to go meet them because they feel that their loyalty lies with the company. Absolutely.
Right. I was going to raise that quickly because we also have a problem of sharing.
Absolutely.
Talking about our problems.
It's the culture
what exactly
thing,
we're
the
going
culture
through.
of silence.
Yes, the culture of silence, right. There's also that, you know, it's a problem as well.
Absolutely.
So in creating that community or that support group, I'm hoping that, you know, we will also have behavioral therapists that could actually, you know, really rein in on what you're going through, where they can also create a safe space where you can share what you're, you know,
where
going through.
confidentiality is prioritized. You understand? Because again, one of the challenges when people talk to me about their struggles in the workplace, they say, look, if you open up to your boss, it might even affect your chance of career growth, your career path. Your boss might, if your boss is not informed, your boss might think you weak or not incapable of managing people under you.
This conversation has to continue.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
Definitely.
it doesn't end
Definitely.
here.
It's
We have to
ongoing.
continue this conversation.
Definitely.
We cannot stop overemphasizing the importance of mental health.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
Aw,
Dr. Olamma. I
amen.
know it's very
Oh.
short, but we have to go quickly.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
but
having me.
again,
Amanda.
you're still coming back here next
Yes,
week.
yes,
All right,
definitely.
great.
Thank you.
And on that note, on wellness, we'll take a quick break. The show continues shortly. Aki Alabi is joining us. Stay with us.